Hi, amazing soul. Today's topic on financial freedom is the very first thing that we have to learn, which is abundance versus scarcity. So, this principle is the fundamental principle of financial wellness because if we are constantly in a state of scarcity, which is believing that there's not enough to go around, or that we don't have enough resources, or whatever is not enough, then no matter how much you get, you could even be a multimillionaire and you could still feel like there's not enough. So that's why it's the most fundamental principle to changing your financial trajectory, is because if you don't get this principle right, you'll never feel like you have enough. So, scarcity versus abundance. Again, scarcity is just feeling like there's not enough. Abundance is the exact opposite, that there is more than enough for everyone and there's plenty to go around. Doesn't that just sound and feel a lot better? Now, I know there can feel immediate resistance when someone says that, like perhaps you're feeling that resistance right now, because it has been so deeply ingrained into us, and perhaps our current experience or past experiences have mirrored that quite a bit, and it feels very, very true. Now, I would like to invite you to consider that that is just an experience, and that you can experience something different if you open yourself up to it. So, when we are trying to make that switch from scarcity to abundance, the first thing that we need to do is recognize when we're feeling or going into that space of scarcity. It may just be all the time, or maybe it's only part of the time when you're feeling that really heavy stress response. One reason why it is hard to sometimes accept that new idea that there's more than enough to go around and that money can show up for me is because we don't necessarily know where it's going to come from. Now, just think of this analogy. When we're breathing, are we ever thinking about, is there going to be enough air? Or when trees are growing, do they ever think that is there going to be enough soil or enough sunlight? That's not a common, like that's not something that they think, or even that we commonly think about. Is there enough air to go around? And yet there's always enough and to spare. And so when we think that way about money, then it can show up for us more abundantly as well. Or we naturally open ourselves up to new opportunities that could allow more financial support into our lives and open up new channels. When we're dealing with this, or maybe for the first time recognizing this feeling of scarcity and inviting ourselves into a new experience, just let yourself even consider the possibility at first. Even if your reality hasn't caught up yet, I promise that if you persist in believing that way and allowing a new relationship with money, that over time, your reality can reflect that new experience. So, again, this is the invitation to recognize the times when you're feeling that scarcity and allow yourself to resonate with a different thought. Even if it doesn't have to be, there's more than enough to go around. It could be like there may not be, it feels like there isn't enough right now, but there could be tomorrow. Or it doesn't feel like there is enough right now, but that can change. My future is different. And even that acknowledgement alone can shift the energy and the emotions into a more positive an open place to allow different experiences to present themselves. Now, I'll give you one more analogy that might help solidify this principle, and that is the principle of love. Just because you have a really good relationship with someone, you love one of your kids, does not mean that when you have another kid or another friend that you love them any less. Especially with kids, with each kid that comes, your love grows and multiplies, and it never has to be divided. And so that is the way that we can practice viewing the universe, is that the universe can show up for me, and there is more than enough to go around if I open myself up to that experience. So I invite you to give it a try. If you feel like it really has to be divided, okay, so here's one more. I'm trying to find some concrete examples that can really help to show a different perspective than that money just has to be divided, or that there's only a finite amount, or that it's a win-lose situation. So I hire a house cleaner once a week to come clean my house. And actually, I hire her to watch my kids once a week as well. At first, I used to think that that was just going to drain our resources, even though I really, really wanted it. I used to just feel like, I don't know if I can really afford that because maybe it's not sustainable, or, whatever, yada, yada, yada. All these things. I was having a really scarcity mindset, like we won't be able to keep affording it, or we won't be able to sustain this, or that, like I wish someone would just come clean my house for free, right? But no one's just going to come clean your house for free. I mean, they might when you're in need and someone shows up to do an act of service. But on a consistent basis, it's a value exchange. And the interesting thing was that, first of all, when I realized that creating that space for myself to work on my business or the other to-do things that I had to knock out, by allowing someone else to watch my kids, and I paid them for it, having that time actually magnified my ability to be in a better state of mind. Giving that value exchange actually amplified my ability to be more productive, and to sustain my work ability for longer periods of time. And so what I mean by that is that giving that money away to someone else to watch my kids or to clean wasn't actually depleting our reservoirs. It was feeding me something. It was giving back to me in a way that was super helpful and has amplified my ability to create the reality that I want, having that space. So that's one aspect, is that when we think, oh, I've just given that money away and that is, scarcity or reducing my resources, remind yourself of the value exchange and what that thing is bringing in as well. We breathe in and we breathe out. We allow those exchanges to happen freely, because if you breathe in too long, things get stale. And so as we allow our experience with money to be free and to acknowledge that there's always going to be an inhale and an exhale type of exchange, we can learn to appreciate it more. So the second side of that story was, think about the value of that money. Not only did it provide a positive exchange for myself, but it also blessed that other family. And that is the power of money, that it's not just a one-time transaction. Money gets to be used again and again and again and again. So it may feel like, oh, well, it still is a loss to me. Again, remind yourself that it's not really a loss, it's an exchange of value. And think of it, or remind yourself that money gets to be used again and again and again. So not only did that money bless me in being able to have that greater time for myself in having someone else watch my kids or clean my house, but that now that same exact money gets to bless that other family and they get to use it in the way that creates another value exchange for them. And so in that way, money doesn't divide itself, it multiplies. Not necessarily that the amount gets greater and greater, but the value gets repeated because it provided value for me. Now it gets to provide value for them, and then whoever they pass it on to, it gets to provide a value again and again and again. So again, all of these concepts are completely different ways of viewing money than what is typical. And when we allow ourselves to try on new thoughts and new experiences with money, our reality can shift as well. So if you find yourself having a really difficult time with abundance, or you feel like you're constantly in scarcity, just allow yourself to try on a different experience and see what happens. So there you go. That's the principle for today, is to notice the scarcity and invite more abundance. And there you go. I would love to hear your takeaways. So if anything really resonated with you or gave you thoughts that you never had before, #aha in the comments is how I want to hear about them. And again, if you have any questions or thoughts or ways that you would like help applying this principle into a specific situation that you're facing, either tag me in the comments or send me a private message, and I would love to help you figure that out and how to apply it into your current situation. So with that, I'll say see you later and hope that this principle can create a new and better and upgraded reality for you. Bye!